And then
Good afternoon.
2 weeks.
This is a meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And it is a few minutes after 6 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and get started. First item that we have on the agenda is roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Erasmo Villarreal.
Present.
Present.
Carlos Flores. George Beckelheimer. Ugalde.
Present.
Johnny Narvaez.
Present.
Abraham Lugo.
Present.
Daniel Lopez. Jorge Dominguez.
Present.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, you have quorum.
Thank you. I did get a call from Commissioner Beckelheimer. If we could please excuse him, he won't be able to attend the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion to accuse the commissioners that did not show up today.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Flores has just entered the meeting. Next item that we have is the consideration of the approval of the minutes of the meeting of March the 7th.
I move to approve the minutes of March 7, 2019.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. All right. Okay, do we have any citizens' comments?
We have received no citizen comment.
All right, thank you. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask for a motion to move up item 11A. This will be a presentation on the utilities.
Motion to move up.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Riaz Zulmia with Utilities Department. I will just make a quick presentation. This is the same presentation I made it to City Council last year in August and also in this Monday. And based on this, Council is authorized to have a workshop in 2 weeks. We don't have the date yet to go over it and possibly come up with a solution. Quickly, this is our utility system. We do have 2 water plant, 6 sewer plant. As I said, we have 72,000 customer in water side and sewer 67, 1,100 miles of water line and 775 miles of sewer line. This is our manpower. Though the accounts is growing faster, we have the same amount of employees. We had completed a master plan in 2015. That master plan addressed 2050 to 2065, and it identified almost $287 million for water investment and $471 million for wastewater investment. And this is, of course, to support 610,000 people as the city grows. We will be doing a master plan upgrade because the master plan is almost 5 years old. These are the improvement we need to do for water and wastewater on the capital improvement program for next 5 years because of the growth. Most of this improvement is due to the growth. As you can see, those are all brand new tank. I mean, most of you know the Lion, we have 2 tanks. One is empty for forever.
Exactly.
But city is growing, so we need to have that storage capacity. So we need to demo the tank, rebuild the tank. The other tank is also leaking, so those 2 tanks hold almost 10 million gallons. Now we are holding 5.
So are you planning to replace them both? Make new ones?
First make
One
one
at a
new,
time?
and then demo the other one and make another one. Also, Cuatro Vientos, South Laredo is going, so in future we have to build a booster station just to get the pressure up on South Laredo. And these are some of the water line projects. Water still is okay. The sewer is the one we are in dire need. Part of the issue is, if you can see the big ticket item and others, that plant was supposed to be built. The contract was awarded in 2009. We didn't acquire the land until 2015. And since it's a huge price tag, $52 million, we didn't build that plant. Of course, we didn't have money, budget shortage, and I've been last 3 years, every opportunity I have, I've been telling council and the management, look, we don't have capacity, we need to build it. And so we are delayed. And there was another plant in my road area, which was Sombretio. That plant was also not built. And we are not building that plant at this moment because that plant there was twice they went out on bids. And both times it came in like $35 and $32 million for a 1.65 million gallon plant, which is outrageous. And so we decided to put a lift station, but everything is pumping to one line, since Manadas is not built. So, and this is the last rate increase was done for the sewer, which was to fund $88 million in that time. Remember, the CIP is based on 5 years. Same thing, the water rate was increased to fund $89 million. I'm just gonna remind the commission and Mr. Chairman, just the El Pico plan cost us $110 million. And these are some old 2010, as you can see, the CIP need was almost $302 million. We didn't went and did another rate adjustment, so we fall behind. Our revenue, we are doing good thanks to the growth, but it's not that good that we can sustain another $180 million upon service. As you can see, our operation is not, we are keep it steady. Of course, debt service is the one growing. And the other interesting thing is growing is the paid fees to the general fund. The more money we bringing in, of course, we are enterprise fund. General fund takes a share of the money.
How much money is your enterprise fund contributing to general fund?
Mr. Chairman, if you look at it in 2019, we will be paying $5.1 million. And as you can see, it grows from 2015, 4.6 to, so they have a percentage. So the more money we bring in,
The more you lose.
The more they take
The more
out.
you lose.
yeah. I mean, Washington, we have Uncle Sam. Here we have probably Uncle Juan. So who get a feed? And this is as you can see, the sewer collection system. This is Unitech, we just finalized the design. We will upgrade the Unitech plan. So this support any development coming in on this area. This is a plan I just told you Sombrecio was not built. This plan was supposed to take care of all this growth all the way to El Pico, Vidal Canto Boulevard, and all of those are supposed to be taken care of by this plant. This plant was not built, so there is a lift station pumping here. Everything goes through this line, and all the sewer from North Laredo comes through this line and connect here, and then goes in front of Mall del Norte, goes to Zacate. Problem is this line is 40-year-old, same line. We didn't put additional line because the idea was once we build Manadas, all the sewer will be intercepted here, and once we build Sombrecio, all the sewer will be intercepted here. Since it was not done, now this line is overloaded. By knowing that, we can approve because that's a TCQ violation. I can't have sewer overflow and approve subdivision. And so that's why we stopped approving subdivisions. And Commission, you seeing those comments that we have no sewer capacity. We do have some temporary solution, but we cannot just approve subdivision based on temporary solution.
Okay, so the upgrade that you're looking at right now in Unitech, that would go from how many gallons of sewer to how many?
That goes from 180,000 to 360.
Oh, so not much.
But most of those areas are all industrial parks, so it doesn't produce a lot of sewer.
Well, no, what I was thinking is there a way that you could maybe reroute some things to send them up that way?
No, because everything,
It's
when
gravity
you're
flow?
looking at human lift station,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not possible.
Not possible with lift stations.
Can I
What,
ask?
Yes.
You stated regarding TCEQ violations. Aren't we already in violation because we're at 100% capacity and we haven't done anything to build any new wastewater treatment programs? or plants?
we are not, because of treatment plant, we have capacity. We upgrading South Laredo, which will have 18 million gallon.
No, but we
Problem
don't
we
have
have
it
is
right
the
now.
collection system.
Okay,
Problem we having is the collection system capacity is not there. Treatment plant, we have capacity.
and what is our treatment plant capacity right now? No.
Zacate, we treat almost 14 million gallons. South Laredo, we have 12. We just upgrading it to 18. We are treating 7 because the
But-
plan was,
What is our percentage, like, of capacity? What are we using of our current capacity right now? Not the raw numbers, but the percentage of capacity. What are we at?
for the treatment plant,
Yes, sir.
okay, that will be, it's about 60%. So we do have capacity on the treatment. Problem we don't have capacity in the collection system.
And where was the flaw in setting up the lines to take the waste to the treatment plants?
The flaws was these two sewer plant, one was not built and one was delayed almost 5 years.
But my understanding with the comments that have been brought forth with the plats that we have is that we have lines, 18-inch lines that serve a disproportionate number of households, and we have log jams in San Isidro and Mines Road. And so why are we building smaller waste collection lines when we know that that's where most of the growth is going to be?
To answer your question, the collections lines are not small. What's happening, these are a bigger collection line, which is the San Isidro interceptor line. Problem, this is where it intercept here. All this sewer from Mines Road coming at this point, going underneath I-35 and coming through Manadas Creek, intercepting here and then going, this is the line which is a 30-inch line, doesn't have capacity. So as I told you, we don't want sewer overflow. And so we had temporarily put in some suction pump at the end of Canal Street where the Steinmart is, just to keep the sewer flow so we don't have spills. We can keep it, but we cannot approve subdivision based on a temporary fix. That's why the permanent solution means all those other infrastructure needs to be in place. So if I have a path council give me a direction, yes, there needs to be a rate increase. If you want to grow, there needs to be a rate increase to fund these projects. So if they approve a rate increase, I can start approving subdivision and keep those temporary pumping system because we already funded those improvements. But at this moment, that's the if. And hopefully, I mean, they all understand, and that's why hopefully they will make a decision.
Now, what was the holdup for the Manadas Creek wastewater treatment plant from being built?
The land acquisition was one thing. As you know, that property used to be the Anzon plant. So city cannot close the property until we get a clean bill of health from the TCEQ. It took almost 3-4 years, and then then we didn't have money. We could not support $52 million bond. That's a $2.6 million payment every year.
But wasn't that funded with the capital improvement program as set aside in 2008 or 2009?
No.
So they just spent the money?
No. If you look at capital improvement program, this is a wish list. It's funded every year during the budget with the bond sale. So if it's not funded, it's just a wish list. And if you look at the city's webpage, we have $600, $700 million capital improvement program. Very few of them are funded.
One of the biggest issues was that the increase on the utility costs for the community. That's how the funding is being planned for this type of improvements, other than the capital improvement plan that is coming up. In other words, the community is going to be impacted with a higher rate in the water and sewer.
Let me show you this is the preliminary number. And as I say, council did authorize me last year to go ahead and hire a consultant to go through the rate study, which we did. And I mean, I just don't want you guys to get bored with all this. But they did say the 2% annual increase is good, but that's not enough to sustain the new bond. So, as you can see, we are one of the lowest rate in the state in water and sewer.
So what's the rate that you're looking for, or that will need to be adjusted so we could do the project? We cannot stop the subdivisions. We need to find a way to fund this.
And you want me to go all the way to the last slide? I can do that. So what you just asking, I'm just showing that we are one of the fastest growing city, but we are one of the lowest rate. I mean, you have to fund this project. You cannot be both. And so.
But you're comparing cities that have a higher per capita average medium income than Laredo, right? So we should be comparing apples with apples, which would be the Valley and Laredo.
Income,
right?
I mean, it costs same to build a sewer plant here or a higher income.
But an average income, a city with higher income, average income can afford these extra charges, right?
I mean, the
Opposed
cities,
to Laredo
Del
that has
Rio
a
and all
lower
of the
average
cities, they
medium
don't have
income.
a high income. I mean, we compare with the cities.
Are there any cities that are comparable to Laredo, like on the border, that are charging higher than what we are?
I mean, the Pasadena, Brownsville, I mean, you have Midland, Pearland.
We're par with El Paso.
El Paso, yeah.
We're par with them, and they're a city of what, 1 million?
El Paso is not growing as we are.
But they have the infrastructure.
They're about
like-
700,000.
But the deal is, if you don't want to grow, your infrastructure is fine. But all this growth is causing us to build new infrastructure. I mean, and we should be very proud of and lucky. Very few communities have 2 brand new water plants, and all the sewer plants are pretty much brand new. You will see very few community has. Both El Pico and Jefferson are brand new water plants.
But you're saying that it's the line that's causing this, right?
Yes, because
So why not fix the line and then,
That's what he's saying.
That's the plan.
Because they don't have money.
That's the plan.
Plans, no.
That's 180 mil.
But I guess I have a question, and I know it's easy to look back into the past and say where this all went wrong, but at what point could this have been avoided, and what could have been done to avoid it, just so that we can have some context and understand how we got here?
At what point, as I showed you in 2010, when that CIP shows that we need $302 million, we should have, let me go back. This one. At that time, we should have amended the ordinance and do a better rate increase to fund all this project. Of course, after this, we, as you can see, that CIP, El Pico plan in that CIP was $60 million. It cost us almost double. And then, so there was some mistake done, but unfortunately, pointing fingers not gonna take us anywhere, so we need to just move forward.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, so our recommendation to City Council would be to bring the funding for that particular improvements, so we could, so in a way that we don't stop the growth of Laredo. Because if we stop the growth of Laredo, then that's coming back to us. We still need the plans, and we still need the improvements.
I mean, the plants are there. The problem we need is the collection lines, and obviously that's what needs to get funded. You need the collection lines to be able to continue growth. And unfortunately, that costs money, and to be able to pay back that debt, it's gonna go back on all ratepayers. I do know that, when was that 25-year increase passed? Was it in 10 or 11? Do you remember?
2007,
In 7,
2008,
where we're gonna have a continuous 25-year increase every year, like 2% or something like that.
2%.
Yeah.
So,
So
and
now-
that's what the consultant is coming back. If you look at, this is the last page. We do have the 2% rate increase every year.
Yeah.
So, but that 2% cannot sustain that additional growth, additional debt service. So he's proposing 5.6%. And this is combined, both water and sewer, for residential.
That's a
But
percent.
that's because we haven't been increasing the rate at all. Had we been continuously increasing it in the
No,
past?
we haven't
we have-
increasing
we have,
2%.
we have. 2% every year.
2%?
Yeah.
But that 2%, as you
It's
know,
still not
cost
enough.
of living, everything is going up almost 2%. So that doesn't give you additional money to float new bond.
So he's suggesting rate increases of 5.6% on top of the 2%?
No, instead of 2%, it's 5.6%.
Total.
But commercial, one thing we do have, the commercial rates are lower than residential rates. So we are looking at in 5 year, commercial rate will be higher than residential.
But that's considering the development we have now. It's not considering future development from all the projects that are gonna go up in place.
This
And all those
is to
projects are
fund the
bringing
5 year,
revenue.
yes. This is to fund next 5 year projects, $180 million.
But considering the development we have now, it's not considering future development, because by doing that and approving these projects, you're gonna bring up new subdivisions.
Yes.
Of which are gonna bring in more revenue, right? That's not factored in here?
That is,
It is
because that
factored in?
CIP is based on whatever we have the projected growth.
And it's still 5.6%.
Okay, now the 5.6% increase, is that overall, or is it residential, or is it commercial?
This is residential, as you can see.
Okay, so what's a commercial increase?
Commercial will be here.
You can
we-
flip the switch and see it on your screen, on the lower right.
See that 5%, 5.6% equals to $2 for a residential home.
14% for commercial?
This is for commercial, yes.
That'll help us.
And then it goes back to 5.4 because this is the highest rate increase because of that loan for Manadas.
Okay,
And then your
when does it drop, in 21, or 20 what?
2022
2022 drops down to 5?
props time, no, for commercial, it's just that first year.
And then it drops to 5.4.
5.4, 5.4, and they are proposing from October 2023, instead of having 2%, go to 3%. So that will give you a sustained revenue source. And,
14.7% of the apartments.
But this is only considering increases. There's no other considerations to obtain funds from somewhere else, from general funds, from cutting expenses, maybe, no?
General, as I said, we have to.
I mean, any
we have
private
to
sector
even
company,
pay-
that's the first thing they do is they look at their expenses, right?
I mean, as you can see, I show you,
See what
we
you
are
can
cutting
cut.
our
Yeah,
expenses.
but the problem is the city's already understaffed, across the board. I mean, where are you gonna cut?
Everybody, well, look into it.
Just,
Speaking,
last
including our
comment,
planning
Mr.
department.
Chairman. If city council is gonna have a workshop on this,
Sure you find
impact,
ways.
would it be appropriate for one of the board members to be there and for, because this is coming back to us afterwards, and, would it be appropriate to be someone? And,
Anytime they have a workshop, it's a public meeting, so anyone can attend. Okay, any one of the commissioners can attend. Has to be a
And I
public meeting.
think we are looking at first week of April.
So, let me, correct me if I'm wrong, but, so city council's gonna approve this on Monday?
No, they will have a workshop, so we'll bring our consultant, they might have
What's the
different
timeframe
idea.
for getting this resolved, assuming that everything is a green light?
As soon as possible, as soon as possible.
But it's gonna take about a year and a half before all construction gets
But
anywhere where you
as I
have
told you,
relief.
if I know this thing are funded, we can do some, if I have to do
I
some.
mean, yeah, you can do some temporary things. What I'm saying is that the actual fix is
Oh, yeah, it's
is the
gonna be,
construction
the
aspect
plant
of
will
it.
not be built in 5 years.
It's gonna take,
Those- the
anywhere
construction
from
takes-
12 to 36
So
months.
you're saying he can do temporary fixes,
But-
as long as you know it's been approved
Yes.
and you've got the money?
Right.
I got it.
He'll continue with his pumping operation and
Well,
just,
we have no choice, right? There's no
basically,
choice.
Yeah,
you're doing an inline pump on your sewer system, is what you're doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it used to be gravity flow, then
Yeah.
it become force main, now it's a suction pump.
Yeah, you're
I guess
using
that's
an
what-
inline
How do you know,
pump.
how do you know this percentage won't have an adverse effect on
At
the
that work-
economy and they'll stop, yeah, we're growing now, but you increase the rate, because people will stop developing.
So at the workshop, is that where they're gonna look at additional other funding sources as well too? Or is it just gonna be to look at what the consultant is
I mean,
presenting?
utilities enterprise fund, usually general fund does not support utilities. They they can't even support,
Yeah.
General fund.
Yeah.
So, council will look at different option. One of the option they've been talking, maybe charge it to the developers. Those are one of the option, which is not a very popular thing. And it also, because if you charge $500, the impact is heavier on the residential home side. But they will have, I mean, we want their direction. This is our proposal. They will have different options, so we'll sit down with city council.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Ria from the commission? Mr. Ria, I want to thank you very much for coming to the commission and
Thank you for
and
allowing me.
explaining to us the situation that the system is in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay. The next item that we have is, going back to regular agenda, item 6A. This is a public hearing, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning all that part of block 2019 Eastern Division located at 3203 Chacon Street from B3 to M1. The proposed use is a tractor trailer parking. Site is currently undeveloped, and the staff supports its zone change, yes. This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? In favor of the zone change?
Mr. Chairman, there were 3 updates.
All right.
We received 3 letters in opposition. The letters focused most primarily on the traffic on 359, which we're aware of. It does operate at F-level service, and it's an on-system roadway. TxDOT is doing what they can to alleviate congestion out there.
Now, TxDOT is proposing to add an additional lane on 359, isn't it? I know they're doing a lot of
not
surveying out
sure,
there.
but I know they
Yeah.
are aware of the situation out there.
Okay, all
But
right.
it's not that they were concerned about the vehicular parking traversing a residential neighborhood. It was just simply the trailers on 359.
Capacity,
Mhm.
okay. All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? In favor of the zone change? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change?
Can I speak in favor, because I did sign it?
It's a public hearing. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Soraya Jackson. I'm the real estate broker for this property. The reason that we're requesting zone change to an M1 is because the surrounding properties do, on the backside, do have warehouses. And the idea is to be able to build a small warehouse there, and again, also as, use it as a trailer park, tractor trailer facility.
Okay. Any question from the commission for Mrs. Jackson?
Just a quick, real question. It mentioned that parking for tractors, they're allowed before. So why are you going on an M1?
Because a warehouse is not permitted.
That's correct.
And so we would like
wanna
the
be able
option
to-
to be able to build a small warehouse, to be able to store, you know, some of the merchandise inside. That's primarily the reason.
That's all the question I have.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you for your time.
All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Make a motion to close public hearing, support staff's recommendation, and approve the zone change.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? I'm sorry?
There's someone's raising their hand.
We did want to speak against the M1.
Oh, I did call. All right, go ahead. Come on up.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Diana Lopez, and we do live right on 359. And I do have 3 other people, 4 other people that also live here. This is the older generation. We do not want the M1 at all. We object simply because, first of all, the traffic is already immense there. And there is no curb appeal there. You walk out from your home and you see 18-wheelers or tractor trailers there. I don't know if they could possibly do some form of curb appeal to where we won't see that while we're driving or coming in or out of our homes. Also, the reverse, and she is correct, there are other manufacturers in the back, but not in the front of 359. So right now it's very difficult to come in or out of our homes. And it's just about 5 of us there, different individual homes. We don't appreciate the noise, the curb appeal, the backing in and out of the trucks, because we do use those streets there. Anything else, Louise? Taxes, we're not sure how that's going to affect our taxes, going from a B3 to an M1. So I think that's pretty much what we wanted to say.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you very much for your comments. Anybody else who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change? Okay, if not,
I just have a
Make a
question.
motion to close.
You're gonna close it? I have a question for Seth.
Sure.
Do you mind? The driveways in the facing 359?
It's our understanding that they would have access from 359. It wouldn't be from the sides or from the rear. It would be from 359.
and they'd have to get text-out approval for those driveways, which means they may ask for an acceleration or deceleration lanes.
That's correct.
If they grant the access, yes.
I feel, Mr. Chairman, that M1 would be appropriate because it's gonna improve the area. Now, they're gonna have to comply with a lot of the requirements from TxDOT. So I think it would be more appropriate, even for the neighborhood, it would be a more controlled pace of improvement and growing in that area.
Okay. All right, we do have a motion, I believe there was Commissioner Tejas.
Yes, sir.
There's a motion on the floor to support staff,
Yes, sir.
and there's a second by Mr. Ugalde. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries, thank you. Next item we have is a public hearing amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning lots 5, 6, 8, and 1/2 of lot 9, block 993 Eastern Division, located at 1804 and 1820 Cortez, from R1 to B1. The proposed use is I believe it's gonna be a contractor's office sales office with no outside storage required.
Mr. Chairman, this item was withdrawn by the representative.
Okay, so if it was withdrawn, then we have to take no action. They even tabled it, right?
No, it was withdrawn completely.
Okay.
They don't want it to go forward.
All right, then we move right on to the next item, is a public hearing, amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning approximately 2.959 acres located at north of International Boulevard and west of Springfield Avenue from an AG to a B3. The proposed use is a commercial, and the site is currently vacant, and the staff supports the zone change. This is a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, we did receive one in favor and one opposed.
One opposed? That's your update. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to speak in favor? In favor? Yes, sir.
Chairman, Wayne Nance, Portos Nance Engineering. We agree with staff comments. We're looking forward to this zone change. We think it's appropriate for the area. There are several B3s in the area, as you can see from your maps that are provided by staff. And we agree with all of their comments, and we hope you feel the same.
Thank you, Mr. Nance. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change? If not, what are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to close public hearing and approve the zone change?
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item that we have is public hearing amending the zoning ordinance of the city of Laredo by rezoning. Wait a minute, which is it, 6D or what? 6D, I'm sorry. Rezoning approximately 2.067067 acres located north of International Boulevard and west of Springfield. This is in the same area. And then it's going from an AG to a B3 also. It's a separate track, but it's in the same area. And the staff supports the zone change.
We did receive one in favor and one in
It's
opposition.
the same in opposition. All right, this is a public hearing. Anybody speak in favor?
Mr. Chairman, Wayne Nance again. You're right, it's almost adjacent,
Yeah.
just split by a future street.
Yeah.
For the same reasons, we're in support, we're in agreement with staff, and we hope you feel the same. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of the zone change? In favor of the zone change? Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Against the zone change? Okay, that's the wishes of the commission.
I'll make a motion to approve following the staff recommendations.
A motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item we have is a public hearing amending the zoning map of City of Laredo by rezoning Lot 1 on subdivision located at 8002 San Gabriel Drive from M1 to B4. This is a downzoning. The proposed use is a child daycare and a pawn shop. The staff supports the zone change.
Well, there's no
Is there
updates.
any updates?
No.
No updates? This is a public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? In favor.
Mr. Chair, the adjacent property is Tuscany Village. It's a commercial shopping center. And the proposed change has an existing pawn shop that's been there for about 15 years. We're adding 3 commercial spaces, and it'll all be part of the same shopping center. And the zone change would just make it all commercial on Mines Road. And that way it would be more in tune with the proposed building use.
Sorry, your name for the record?
Richard Can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. This is a public hearing. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor. Anybody who wishes to speak against the zone change? Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Buenas tardes,
Buenas tardes.
Blanca Aquino. Bueno, yo soy la que quiere construir, bueno, quiero rentarle el local para construir el daycare ahí. Estoy a favor del señor
Okay.
y a sus órdenes. Gracias.
Ándale, gracias. Está a favor entonces, okay. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor. Anybody else who wishes to speak against? Against. All right, wishes of the commission?
Make a motion to close public hearing, support staff's recommendation, and approve the zone change.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item that we have is item 7A. This is review and consideration of the following master plan. Los Presidentes East Master Plan, the intent is residential and commercial. The 170-acre site, it is located west of Concord Hills Development and east of Cuatro Vientos Road. The zoning for this 185-lot development is AG R1, R1A, and B4. The proposed action is approved subject to the following comments from planning, from water and utilities, traffic safety, parks and leisure. UISD has a question and a notice to developer from planning. The engineer of record is Howland Engineering.
They have requested this item be tabled.
All right, we have a motion table,
Motion move.
a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Next item that we have is a review and consideration of the Shiloh Highlands subdivision master plan. The intent is residential and commercial. The purpose of this revision includes creating two phases out of former phase two. The proposed action is approved subject to the following comments from planning, from water and utilities, and a notice to developer from planning. Yes, sir?
Mr. Chairman, Wayne Nance, Board of Science Engineering, we agree with all of these comments.
Okay. All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Make a motion to close public hearing, follow staff recommendation, approve.
Have a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item we have is preliminary consideration of the Santa Cecilia Estate subdivision, intent is residential. This is a 5.83 acre tract located at Casa del Sol and west of Alo Verde Drive. Is this the property that I have this packet on in front of me?
Correct, sir.
According to this information that we have received here at the commission level, there appears to be litigation ongoing between this particular issue. And based on what I'm reading here from what has been submitted to your office, it's probably in our best interest if we table this item indefinitely.
We have spoken with our legal department, who has provided some information that we could share.
All right.
With us. And we just wanted to remind the city that the city only enforces public land use regulations. The city does not enforce private land use regulations. They also asked us to share that this zone city, which we are, has a comprehensive land use regulatory scheme embodied in the zoning ordinance, subdivision ordinance, building codes. This is based on protecting, of course, the health and safety of our community. Restrictions are a matter, or easements and covenants are a matter of private contract typically established by developer and occasionally by reciprocal agreement of the property owners. Those restrictions, as mentioned earlier, are private, and the city does not enforce them. This is not legal advice. This is simply information to share with the commission.
Yes.
I think unless they have an injunction enjoining us, we can act. So I don't know what would be the reason not to act unless there's something that's preventing us legally from acting.
Okay. All right.
Now, if you want to table the item because you want to get more information from the legal department before we act, that's also an option.
Well, I guess my question was if the legal department has already, and according to what they just mentioned, is that they probably looked at the title search,
That's correct.
and they're saying that based on what they have reviewed, it's not a matter of the cities, that the city can obviously enforce any kind of restrictions.
Yeah.
The only issue that I have with that is, I guess, if we're going to approve a particular subdivision plat, it does have certain conditions that must be met by the city for it to
Yes.
go forth.
Yes, but those cities' conditions are all related to the ordinance,
That is
subdivision
correct.
ordinance, city regulations. They do not have
So
to
at
do
this
with
point-
private agreements.
The way you have proposed action to approve, the departments that have reviewed this particular submittal are in concurrence that they're willing to, approve this particular subdivision, based on these comments. That's the recommendation of the city staff,
That's correct.
all right? And the legal department has already pretty much injected that, the city does not.
They were careful to stress that they cannot provide legal advice to the commission, that this was simply information that they share, that the city does only enforces and regulates city ordinances and does
So,
not enforce private.
I guess the concern I have is if the city's legal department cannot provide legal assistance to this commission, so what the hell? I mean,
They stressed they were not the lawyer of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So they cannot provide.
so who is the assigned legal representative from the planning department to this commission?
To the Planning and Zoning Department, we are assigned a legal a person, and her name is Lisa Paul.
So what you're, I guess,
She's
telling
saying
me
is
right
they have
now is
attorneys,
that,
we don't.
that's what I'm saying, so then there is nobody from the city's legal department that would advise this commission?
They stressed that they could not provide legal advice, that they could not provide legal counsel, that this was information that they were sharing.
Well, that kind of puts us in a quagmire here, because, I mean.
How do you all get protected if we make?
That's
the wrong
exactly
decision?
what, I was thinking, that does put us in a predicament here as a commission.
Well, if you feel that you have a concern, we could table the item and have legal department, appear at the next meeting and share, all their restrictions and abilities to represent this body.
Let me ask you a question before we take that step. What you're saying here is that what this group is proposing on this plat meets all the city ordinance requirements.
Subject to the comments.
Actually, can I ask you, this plat is not in conformity with the master plan, correct?
There is no master plan.
Yes, there is, actually.
It expired.
Okay, then there's no new one been approved?
This is the only phase. A master plan isn't required if it's only one phase.
Okay, so they don't have to resubmit a new master plan, even
No.
if there's an old one?
No, sir.
I don't know if, Carlos, did you get a chance to?
What
finish your
was the
question?
item, wasn't this item brought up last time?
Yeah, well, the master
Okay,
plan
what
was
happened, in
denied.
that,
It was denied.
they requested a new master plan?
No, it was an issue with fire and the,
They were trying to plat it, they were trying to plat
Those
one of the last portions, and it was not in conformity with the master plan that had been done back in 1996 or 2000, or whenever it was done.
Okay.
And what they were trying to do was block off those exits that choke an easement that was sold with the property, and which they're still doing again with the cul-de-sac that's heading north.
what makes this any different?
They added,
They-
They did
they added a
provide.
street.
They added the exit going south at the bottom.
The developer did do a title search, which is in front of you, and they show that there's no easements.
There's a petition filed in the district court
That
with
would-
attachments.
But that would be outside of the city's hands. We don't regulate those easements, even if there is. Like,
Well,
that's a
obviously, somebody
conversation.
with the title search did a bad title search, and I'm not going to step into something where there's going to be a fight when.
Discrepancy.
I'm not gonna put my hands over my eyes and pretend that something's not there when I know damn well it is. I mean, that's rather ignorant.
The easements are there?
It's a 60-foot easement here.
If I may, through Chair. Mr.
Yes.
My understanding is that we are an extension of the certain powers of the council. We're being appointed by councilmen and by the mayor in your case. And I understand that we are immune for this type of threats or letters, as long as we follow the recommendations and the ordinance. Now, it would have been better for this attorney to be here and explain rather than a letter.
Actually, he was here last time, and the applicant is neither here this time nor the last time.
If the applicant is here.
Oh, well then,
And
have him come up.
so I personally feel that we should proceed and make a decision as to what is before us, because that's what we're here for.
All right, well, let's get the applicant up and let's see if we can provide some answers.
Good evening, Ricardo Ramos with Do Right. And I'm the engineer of record for this plat. And what we did is we received those comments that we provided from the last time we submitted and incorporated into this revised plat. So when y'all were talking about the easements, that was one of the things that we did. We went back and checked to see if there were any easements tied down, and we only found one easement on that side of the property, which was basically the road, the main road for
Can you point it out, or?
What about this?
You need the mouse? Or?
If he has a mouse.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. So this is the easement that we found for that subdivision. And that's what we submitted to the commission.
That, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you
There was
said.
an easement that was found, and that's the one that's
Is that a 60-foot easement or what?
right, where is it? Keep moving, right there.
So that's an easement coming off of the, what is that, 359?
Yes.
59.
They're 59.
59.
59. Highway 59, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, the easement that you found is basically coming off of 59 into the property?
That subdivision, the
Yeah.
area there, yes.
Okay.
Hey, Vanessa, you confirm that that is the one he's mentioning?
No, we don't. But they found it. We
They
don't,
found
we
it.
don't search.
We don't really know
No.
if that's, okay.
Okay, so the staff then has not confirmed some of the information.
No, we don't search for easements. We don't do that.
No, I understand, but they gotta be turned into the city engineering, right, for them to confirm?
Can I tell you what I think we should consider doing, assuming that this does not hurt the developer, because I don't want to do that, is can we table the item, request that someone from the city attorney's office come here so that instead of you reading that to us, that we can have them answer our questions. That way we are making an informed decision because, like, I'm an attorney, but I have a hard time reading easements. So I could probably read you, if you asked me to go back there and read the easement, I could be back in half an hour and not really understand what it fully says.
Mr. Chairman, we did ask for a legal person to come tonight, and they shared with us that they felt that they had no role. But we will certainly ask them to appear at the next.
Well, at a minimum, they have to explain why,
Well,
at a minimum, they have to explain why they don't represent us, or at least can't give us guidance on what the city's position
We can
would be.
certainly
Yeah.
relay the commission's request.
Well, we can, as a commission, we can ask for one of them to be sent here, just as the
course.
utilities director came here at our request.
Yes.
Yeah, but now they have a role, right? We need interpretation on the easements.
I think we can relay your request.
I think what they're saying, Rod, is that the easement is really a private issue, not a city ordinance issue.
No,
But the
they're
thing
saying
is-
that. They're saying
But the
that.
thing is, they need to come and tell us that, so that way we're clear on what their position is on all of this before we take an
Well,
action.
no, they did mention that in
mentioned that in
the
the
communication that they sent to
Legal.
Vanessa.
Yeah, but don't we have questions?
I have questions
Yeah, that's
because,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
obviously, we have a document, like you said, in front here, it's got a 60-foot easement, but like you said, I just saw these documents right now. I haven't even had a chance to look at them.
But if we table the item and we request someone to be here at the next meeting, does that affect any timelines or anything? That's just my other concern.
Well, it affects the project as far as moving forward. Maybe one consideration that the commission can do is approve this preliminary. We still have to come back for
It's a
for final.
preliminary plat,
Yeah,
okay?
it's
This
not
is a
final.
preliminary plat, so it's not a final.
Right.
So, I mean, basically, by giving them preliminary approval, if they meet the conditions that are set forth in this communication,
fair.
they can continue to go forth, this thing can still continue to be researched, and, you know,
Where we
flushed
define
out
what we-
whichever way it goes.
Would would it be appropriate, Mr. Chairman, to ask that they physically show the easement in the, where we can actually see how, like, is it 50, is, what is it? I mean, we don't.
With the 60-foot here, it says
We have, what I got it, and I don't know, I mean, again, what did you find? Did you find a 60-foot easement? Because that's a document that I have in
Yeah,
front of me.
what we can do is maybe come back with an exhibit on the final and show you what that easement is, or send it to the PNC, but I really, this is a preliminary,
Yeah, it is.
plat approval, so there's another,
There's
phase that you
still-
guys can say, wait a minute, what's going on, you know, you didn't comply with this, or something like that.
There's still more that you need to continue doing
Right, I still need to
engineering
go
work.
through
There's
the
more
city.
engineering work that has to be
Exactly.
done and submitted to the city.
Right.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Ramos from the commission?
Just last question. Have you been served with the list pendants? Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
The list pendants?
Liz pendants?
Have you been served with that list pendants, that it means that you have a litigation pending that might hold us from?
No.
Not that you know?
Not that I know of.
Well, he's not named,
No, I'm
he's
the
not named
engineer
as a
record now.
defendant.
But that still wouldn't affect the
Have a-
commission.
Yes, sir. That's what we got.
There are two different easements here, right?
I'm sorry?
These are two different easements?
He didn't submit that paperwork.
He didn't? Oh, who did?
No, that's
No,
something.
that's submitted by,
Oh, the nothing?
yeah, okay.
The title search was submitted by the
Right.
engineer.
I'm sorry?
The title search was
That's what I
submitted by the
thought,
engineer.
so.
Oh, this is submitted by this engineering firm?
Yes.
Okay.
So these are, again, so I rephrase my question, these are two different easements you found?
No, one easement.
One? Okay, well, this is reference to two different ones.
Sometimes they, well. I'm not
This
gonna
is
do
definitely two different ones.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in a preliminary, actually, we move with a preliminary, we're not.
This is an
doing
amended
anything other
easement
than
and
the
reference a different
preliminary.
page.
Well,
This is page 89, this is page 86, and then the acreage is different too. So, you know what I mean? So,
Mr. Chairman,
not gonna-
I can also share that,
They're- I think
and
they're
not
two
that it bears
they're not
direct
referencing the same
bearing
acreage.
on this case, but with regard to zoning, every single one of our zoning ordinances, when we change an ordinance, it has language that stipulates that the city does not enforce private covenants and restrictions. And that was something that was added by our old, do you remember, the old city attorney Flores? He had us add that to every single one of our zoning ordinances because of a very similar issue. That, there was a restriction with regard to zoning and, a case came forward and it was in contravention of, some, private covenants, and there was that big issue, and that's when the cities, had us put that on every single one of our ordinances. So, it's echoing the very same thing that we're hearing from our legal department now, that the city, again, does not enforce private agreements.
If we have before us something that has been researched and is being placed as approved by staff, then we're approving only the recommendation.
Of staff.
So, I don't see any problem there as far as us deviating from any powers that we have.
And it seemed like legal shared that it would not negate the private covenant. The private covenant continues to exist.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Ramos from the commission? Thank you, Mr. Ramos. Sure. All right. What are the wishes of the commission?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Do I have another motion?
I'd rather make a motion to table and ask for the city attorney's office to be here. In the alternative, I'd make a motion to deny it. But I'd rather give the applicant an opportunity to get all his ducks in a row and ask for the city attorney's office
Your motion would be to table.
to table.
We have a motion
Table
to
even
table.
if it's, whether it's to time certain or not, at the discretion of the applicant.
Okay. We have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor? signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? We have one opposed. All right, that motion carries the
Just a
table.
comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I oppose it, just because we have before us something that either they might have a point saying, we brought something before you, and that it was, the recommendation was to approve. So that's the only comment that I have.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, the next item that we have is preliminary consideration of the plat of the Shiloh Highland subdivision phase 2. The intent is commercial. This is a 3.4667 acre tract. It is located north of International Boulevard and west of Springfield. The proposed action is approved subject to the following comments from planning, utilities, and a note to the developer from planning. Yes, sir?
Mr. Chairman, Wayne Nance again. We agree with all the comments in this.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. What are the wishes of the commission?
Make a motion to approve subject to the following comments.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item that we have is preliminary consideration of the replat of, what is that? Cerralvo? Intent is right of way. And the proposed action is approved subject to the following comments from planning, water and utilities, and a notice to developer. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Arturo Camacho with Camacho and Associates. We don't have any issues with the comments.
All right, thank you. What are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to approve subject to the following comments.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is the preliminary consideration of the utility trailer park, plat. The intent is industrial. This is a 10.51 acre tract located on Miller Boulevard and west of FM 1472. This is a one-lot development. It's M1. Proposed action is approved subject to the following comments from planning, from engineering, from water and utilities, and a notice to developer. Yes, sir.
Good evening, I'm Daniel Gomez, the engineer of record for this project, and we concur with all the comments.
Okay. All right. I know that you've submitted. What are the wishes of the commission? Are there any updates from the last time that you were here on this proposed plat as terms of what you're proposing to, whether you're gonna cut? I remember there was potential that that property may be doing some cut and fill, and obviously you need to do some drainage and stuff.
Is that way I can use the,
All right.
go ahead. Which way is better for you? One more, one more.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. I did a profile on the existing street and in the Miller Boulevard, right at the, in the middle of the, actually, at the center of the property, more or less.
Uh-huh.
The proposed,
Cul-de-sac.
is gonna be. We're about 7.4 feet, above. So actually, I mean, we're gonna be very high. And on the south side, we're still high about more than 4 feet high. So it's, I mean, it's gonna be hard for them to they're not gonna be looking at us because we're not gonna be at the same level. That's because of the existing terrain.
Topography. Okay.
There has been mentioned that there were gonna be some oversized fences, the barriers, and also some greenery in that area. And we had a previous concern with the cul-de-sac. Was that addressed?
I mean, the cul-de-sac, we're complying with everything from the Laurel Land Development Code. So, which it's the right diameter, and it's gonna be concrete with carbon gutter, just like any other public cul-de-sac. And regarding the fence, my client, they said that they'll try to do something on the side of the school, on the school side, just to avoid having that visibility from them. So that's the way that they're compromising it.
What is that? But the ordinance calls for an oblique fence all around when you have a different district.
Did you say
Zoning.
opaque?
Opaque. What I say, oblique, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, opaque, yeah. Because I think you have an M1 zone, but you're surrounded by, if I'm not mistaken, some B3s and some residential, right, on one side? No, just B3? The ordinance calls for, well,
But I
an
think it's
M1.
also, it stipulates uses, residential uses also, as well as zones.
Okay, well, I mean, this is preliminary, so you'll have to comply with whatever the ordinances are.
Yes.
Okay, and you're concur with the comments?
Yes, sir.
All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 1, 2 opposed, all right.
Who was the second?
Abby.
Mr. Dominguez made the motion?
No.
I'll second.
Oh,
Lugo.
All right, we have, all right, motion carries. The next item is preliminary consideration of El Retiro plat. The intent is industrial, 10-acre tract located north of FM 1472 and west of Copper Mine Road. Proposed action is approved, subject to the following comments from planning, engineering, and water and utilities. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Gilberto Gonzalez from Terra South Engineering. And I'm the engineer representing Grupo Centro Limited. We agree to staff comments, however, not so much, or maybe get some clarity on items 1 and 2 under water and utilities. Under water and utilities, item number 1, the third sentence states that for sewage, the engineer has to prepare a package with all the requirements for a septic tank. Take it to the Laredo Water and Utilities Department for review, and once it's approved, then take it to the Laredo Health Department. We agree to that, we understand that. However, my client, Grupo Centro, they want to plat the property to sell it. So at this point, how do we size accordingly or effectively? It's gonna be, this plat is 1 lot, 10 acres.
Well, I think the issue is if it's gonna be sold, the plat requirements will remain when you do a plat.
Yes.
You have to satisfy water, wastewater, all utilities. All that common says is to satisfy the sewer utility action, it has to go this route for right now.
Okay, could we include a plat note saying that at time of construction, defer to construction, once they know what's gonna be built at construction, they can size up the septic system accordingly?
I believe you probably could, because like you said, you got 10 acres, and at this point, you really don't know what to expect. This is a one lot plat for 10 acres, and that's huge acreage.
And I do have a plat note. This plat, note number 7 states something along the lines that at time of construction,
Size the development, I think that makes perfectly sense. I mean, does anybody in the commission have any concern with that particular one?
No, actually.
Does it make sense? Makes a lot of
It just
sense.
follows up.
Yeah, just.
You sell it, they still have to put that.
I think that would be okay to put that comment in there.
Okay, great.
And the commission would agree to that, yeah.
Okay,
So
so.
we withdraw that
Sorry?
You're just asking to get rid of comment 1 from
Right,
water.
right.
And he's just asking for permission, that when they figure out what they're gonna do with it, to size the septic systems as needed.
It's preliminary.
It could be a year from now, it could be 10
Exactly.
years from now. We
Yeah.
don't know.
It's preliminary also, so
And it's preliminary.
we can scratch it off.
Now, that was the first one. Question or item number 2 under water utilities states, this project has an 8-inch water line on its property side along FM 1472 Mines Road. The fire department requires 1,500 gallons per minute for industrial developments that only a 12-inch water line can provide. To me, this sounds like, well, let me back up. Is this a requirement or is this a recommendation?
Well, I tell you what, let me call up the Chief Dominguez to answer the question from the fire department.
Ruben Dominguez for the Laredo Fire Department. Those 1,500 GPMs are coming out of the International Fire Code. That 1,500 is usually just the minimum. but it's, we were trying to get in touch with utilities to see if they were trying to get 1,500 out of one hydrant. I mean, let's say you got a corner lot, you require the minimum 1,500, so obviously if you have 3 hydrants and they're all getting 500, then you have your water flow. But that is a table out of the 2012 International Fire Code. Basically what it is, it's based on building size and then construction type and then the use of the building. Then as you go down the table, it's gonna give you a water flow that's required. If it tells you if the building is sprinkled, then you can reduce that water flow by 75%. But it does note that the minimum water flow is 1,500 GPMs.
Right. And what I wanted to touch, and I want to add to that, and thanks for the information, is that 1,500 GPMs is for, it's under the appendix B, and it says fire flow requirements for buildings. We're not building anything. We're just platting 10 acres. Now,
And that's why I did mention, it's not based on property, it's based on the size of the building and the construction type.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, to me, and this is where I was gonna start, it sounds like item number 2 is saying, you know what, you have an 8-inch line, sorry. Well, no, there's another way. We can put a water tank and a sprinkler.
I think the comment could probably be stricken because it really is under water and utilities and it really a fire requirement.
That's right. And fire
had just clarified what the intent of the 1,500 gallons, depending on the structure, depending on the type of construction and whether it's sprinkled or not.
Right.
That reduces things. So I think we could probably strike that comment. Yeah, the whole comment number 2.
Just strike both comments of water and utilities.
Right. And to further add to this, the building adjacent, or the lot adjacent to us is very similar. And they have the exact same scenario, and it was done last year. The building, the little warehouse is basically complete.
Sprinkled.
And they have a sprinkler.
Yeah, that reduces it big time. Okay. All right, thank you, Chief.
We have no comments.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. All right, anything else?
That is it.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Mr. Gonzalez, no questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez. All right. Wishes of the commission.
Make a motion to approve subject to the following comments, not including water and utilities comments numbers 1 and 2.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
So a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item that we have is preliminary consideration of the replat of all of C-25 and the north half of C-26 Botina subdivision into C-25A and C-25B. Botina subdivision intent is agricultural residential, 29.97 acre tract. It is located west of I-35, south of US 83 North. This lot is located outside the city of Laredo city limits, but located within the ETJ extra. Proposed action is approved subject to the following comments from planning, from engineering, from fire, water and utilities, and a notice to developer. Yes, sir.
Good evening,
members of the commission. Edward Ochoa with CEC. And I do have a couple of questions and maybe concerns about, I guess, a few of the comments. I guess first off, I guess I'd like to preface my questions with we are in the county. We're solely, this property is in Botina subdivision. It's solely in the county. We are in the city ETJ. However, in this particular case, what we're doing is my client owns 30 acres of property, and we're looking at breaking it up into two 15-acre tracts. So both tracts are more than 5 acres. And so we've already visited with Webb County, and Webb County is willing to give us what they call a certificate of no plat required, because we exceed a 5-acre limit, and we actually do exceed a 10-acre limit that the county looks at. And so my concern really is mainly with kind of the water comment, because the water comment says we cannot provide plat approval. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think the city utilities department should be giving us an approval. First off, they don't provide water to Botinas, and they don't provide sewer to Botinas. And by, several of the state codes, if we exceed 10 acres, we're considered an ag ranch. We're not considered a residential use lot. Therefore, we don't have to provide water and sewer. It's a ranch. So I'm just a little bit concerned about maybe the precedence that that could take. And of course, more importantly, how it applies to our one situation here, so. And then, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with maybe some of the other comments. Obviously, fire department says that they're outside, it's outside their jurisdiction, so they're not going to provide an approval. I mean, I think that I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. That kind of makes sense. So it's not in their jurisdiction. We are in Webb County. We are just in the ETJ, and I guess in some of the agreements between the city and county for the ETJ, I mean, there are certain things we have to bring forward to the city for their review and approval and concurrence. So I think more than anything, it's more of a courtesy type of thing. Hey guys, we're kind of doing this, but I mean, a lot of what I've found is because we exceed the 10-acre lot sizes, it exempts us from a lot of the platting requirements by the state, both municipal and county. So, and again, the departments associated with them. So that's kind of what I wanted to say with that. So my questions are really like the water comment, you know, engineering providing easements. We're not going to have any easements, so on and so forth.
The water comment that kind of sticks out at me, they're making a comment here that the water source this property is using is not in TCEQ compliance.
How do they know that?
What
Los Botinas is not in compliance with TCEQ.
In what manner?
Their water source is not
in what manner?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of background on Botinas. Botinas, actually, it's a platted subdivision. I want to say it was platted in the 70s or 80s. And 70s. They're mostly platted as 20-acre tracts. Now, the statement that you did say is correct about how the county can do a certificate of no plat required because they are not conveying any public improvements. These are county roads. I think it's Pearson Moss.
Pearson Moss, yes.
And then also with regards to the exemption about the 10 acres or greater, the model rules, if it's 10 acres or less, require some sort of water and sewer, so that's not a requirement here. Where it gets a little tricky is because in this area, if I'm not mistaken, it's within the city of Laredo CCN boundary. So there's some issue about the water and sewer services. Now, a statement about it not being in compliance with TCQ is individual wells would be required on this site if they were to pursue drinking water, but yet it's not required. So you kind of get stuck.
Yeah, I mean, I've visited with my client. He says he doesn't have any drinking water out there. He has water that he uses to water some trees on his 30 acres. He's got a few trees and a little techito. Anybody that's out there, I'm sure, you know, if certainly Botinas doesn't have good water, I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to connect to it and drink it. So that would give them every right to dig a well. And I'm sure Botinas has many, many water wells, even though they may have a water system that you can connect to and draw water from. I believe those guys probably dig their own well and manage their own well. Same with the septic system too. So.
And also to add with regards to the fire protection though, there is a new fire station up on, what is it? I believe it's Webb Road, at the intersection of Webb or.
It's on 83 North and Webb Road.
And Webb Road. So that service is this area as well.
That's the Webb County Fire. So again, my concern really is just me kind of agreeing to the approval process, and then you know, I don't want that to domino effect into I need to go to one-stop shop now, and then, you know.
Basically, what you would be asking us for is to remove the comments of water, utilities, and fire.
Yeah, water, utilities, fire. I don't know if the all improvements as per subdivision ordinance probably should be removed.
All right.
Too, because really I don't have to.
You're not going to have to follow
subdivision.
That's
ordinance.
correct.
Now, I believe we would if we're doing any improvements. I mean, I read a lot through the state statutes, and some of them will say that if you're not doing any public improvements or building a street, then you don't have to plat. Well, we're not doing any public improvements and we're not building a street. Pearson Moss is already developed. And again, we don't have to put water and sewer because of the size of the lots that we are. So I think maybe 3, and then I would be more than happy to discuss kind of how we approach 1 and 2 with the city, because I've done several of these certificate of no plat requireds with the county, and that's the signature block that I did have on there. But if I need to have something maybe different because it's a county city deal, I don't know if the city's going to want to sign off on it. I'm willing to kind of work out 1 and 2 with the planning department, but,
You also
more
need to-
importantly.
You still need to record with the city. We still need
We
to
would?
sign
Okay.
up on it because it's in the ETJ.
Okay.
Would it just be easier if I make a motion to approve, subject to the following comments, only planning 1 and 2, and then strike all other comments?
Mm-hmm. That's your motion?
Sure.
I mean, I'm asking, like, that's what you're asking for, right?
Yeah, that would be acceptable to me,
Some
yeah.
of them are relevant.
I would make them more, well,
Does the planning department have a comment in response to? what the
I guess
request is?
my question is simply by removing the comment saying that they cannot provide plat approval, doesn't remove their requirement to get a letter of approval from the utilities department.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, why would they need utilities department approval?
well, because to get approval of a plat, we have to have those 5 approval letters. Fire.
The letters that should come from the departments that do not provide services outside the city limits by ordinance should be a letter that simply states that.
Yeah.
We cannot provide services or out of the city limits.
they all should
There
provide
is an
letters
ordinance to
saying.
that effect. That's what it
They
needs to
all should
state.
provide letters saying what fire put in comment number 1.
Yeah.
That should be everybody's comment. That should be the utilities department comment, that should be,
I guess we'd have
Engineering.
to review what exceptions there are. I mean, to my knowledge, all plats must receive the 5 letters.
No, and that's what I'm saying is you'll get the letters, but the letters will basically state to you that it's outside your jurisdiction.
Guys,
That's,
And
I guess
that-
that's,
they have-
It's more of a county.
It being in the ETJ is in the jurisdiction.
I'm sorry?
It being in the ETJ.
I understand that, but because by ordinance, the utilities cannot provide utilities outside the city limits, okay? So this is outside the city limits.
You better
They
provide for all
cannot
city
provide
limits.
utilities, all right, by ordinance. The fire department also the same situation.
But
You know-
I've heard from Mr. Lopez from the fire department saying that they can't provide an approval letter, even saying that they won't provide, that is not necessary, because them being in the ETJ means that they still need to prepare in case for when it comes into the city limits. So they still have jurisdiction.
No, he's going on a what if. You can't approve something on a what if. No, that doesn't work. Mr. Lopez's comment, and I'll bring the chief up again, but that comment to me is a what if comment, and he's playing with what if. What if they come into the city limits later? At the time that they're gonna be asking for annexation, those things will go through an annexation process, in which times they'll have to be addressed.
I have a
But
question.
you can't go with that what if.
Have you communicated this with planning department, the county planning department? No, do you communicate with them? Maybe we should start.
I think the
with these
motion
type of
is good.
situations.
I think we should move along.
Yeah.
This is precisely why we need a lawyer at the planning and zoning commission.
We've had conversations about another track in Los Botines, and we've gone back and forth for months now, so, with our legal department.
May I ask how
Contacted the
many
county
acres?
planning
May I
department.
ask how many acres that one was?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
So what I think is extremely unique, maybe in our situation, is that we exceed 10 acres.
Yes.
And honestly, I don't even think we should even be platting in the city because we exceed 10 acres. And there is state code that talks about that. The state code and the municipal code talks about if you exceed 5 acres, you don't need to plat.
The reason why this was
So-
required to come in was because it's already platted. So it's a
Correct.
replat.
And I read, I know we kind of went back and forth on this, but, the definition of a plat includes a replat. So where it says you don't need to plat, it also means you don't need to replat, in my opinion. So I know we can agree to disagree on that, but I just think this could be into something that,
This is a different jurisdiction.
everybody that wants to do something in Botines or anywhere in the ETJ now has to get water and everybody's
No,
approval when they don't even provide the
yeah, it
services. I'm
doesn't-
concerned about that,
I
so.
agree with that.
Let's
Okay.
use some common sense here, please.
Anybody else have any questions from the commission? All right.
Let's go.
make a motion to approve subject to the following comments, limiting the comments only to planning's comments 1 and 2. Striking all other comments.
All
I'll
right.
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries.
No,
What?
I voted against it. I voted against it.
Too late.
No, I voted against it when you said those opposed. I raised my hand right at that moment.
Anybody
And you
see
said
him?
opposed, I went,
Okay, what opposed?
All right.
not that it matters.
I make a motion to hear
Yes.
items 9A, B, and C as one item.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Make a motion to approve items 9A, B, and C.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Not yet. Make a motion to approve item 10A.
Oh, another one.
There you go.
There you go, somebody read the packet before.
We have a motion and a second? And a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, just 1 second before we wanted to introduce our new planner, Rafael Vidauri. I know most of you have met him already. As you can tell, we're very happy to have him. He's been county for quite some time, and we consider him a wealth of knowledge that we're very happy that he's now here with us.
Well, we're happy to have you on staff because you bring a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
Good background, and it's gonna really help the department big time.
That's correct.
Welcome. Thank you. We also want to do one last thing before we leave. We want to wish our chief a happy birthday.
Birthday cake.
Let him go home for dinner.
Again.
Times?
21 years plus 25 years of experience.
Happy birthday, chief.
All right, let's see.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I guess
We're adjourned?
you have a copy.
Yes, we're adjourned.
Right on.